Hello, welcome to today's Daily Bible Bite. Today we're going to be reading through the Old Testament and the New Testament, Leviticus chapter 9, Psalms chapter 8, Proverbs chapter 5, and Mark chapter 1 from verse 29 to the end. So it's been good. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We just read through the Bible, see what it says. Here it comes, Leviticus chapter 9. It's a short chapter. On the 8th day in the middle of this story, Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel, and he said to Aaron, "Take for yourself a bull calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering, both without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. And say to the people of Israel, take a male goat for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both a year old, without blemish, for a burnt offering, and an ox and a ram for peace offerings to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering mixed with oil, for today the Lord will appear to you." And they brought what Moses commanded in front of the tent of meeting, and all the congregation drew near and stood before the Lord. And Moses said, "This is the thing that the Lord commanded you to do, that the glory of the Lord may appear to you." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Draw near to the altar and offer your sin offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people, and bring the offering of the people and make atonement for them as the Lord has commanded." So Aaron drew near to the altar, and he killed the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. And the sons of Aaron presented the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar and poured out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the long lobe of the liver from the sin offering he burned on the altar, as the Lord commanded Moses. And the flesh and the skin he burnt up with fire outside the camp. Then he killed the burnt offering for Aaron's sons. He killed the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons handed him the blood, and he threw it against the sides of the altar. And they handed the burnt offering to him piece by piece, and the head, and he burned them on the altar. And he washed the entrails and the legs and burnt them with the burnt offering on the altar. Then he presented the people's offering, and he took the goat of the sin offering that was for the people, and killed it and offered it as a sin offering like the first one. And he presented the burnt offering and offered it according to the rule. And he presented the grain offering, and he took a handful of it and burned it on the altar besides the burnt offering of the morning. Then he killed the ox and the ram and the sacrifice of peace offerings for the people. And Aaron's sons handed him the blood, and he threw it against the side of the altar. But the fat pieces of the ox and of the ram, and the fat and the tail, and that which covers the entrails and the kidneys and the long lobe of the liver, they put the fat pieces on the breasts, and he burned the fat pieces on the altar. But the breast and the right thigh Aaron waved for a wave offering before the Lord, as Moses commanded. Then Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them. And he came down from offering the sin offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings. And Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting, and when they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. And fire came out from before the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the pieces of fat on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces, it tells us in chapter 9 of Leviticus. There you go. So, what did I say was next? 8. Psalm chapter 8. Here's what we have. It's written to the choir master according to the Gittith, a psalm of David. Verse 1 says this, "O Lord our God, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and infants you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the angels, and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, and sheep and all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. The end of Psalm 8. And then in the book of Proverbs, in chapter 5, here comes some other helpful sayings. They come in like ones and twos when you read Proverbs. See if you catch them. My child, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end she is as bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps follow the path to Sheol. And she does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it. Now, I've said before, and other times when this subject comes up, it tells you about sometimes gender-specific language, but I know that we're all adults and we understand it cuts both ways, and that watch out for men of the same disposition, ladies. And so we want to take that to heart and not just be guilty of some sort of slut-shaming or something like that. The Bible's warning against adultery, isn't it? Yeah. So now, children, listen to me, it says in verse 7, do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way from her, and do not go near the door of her house, the adulterer's house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the merciless, lest strangers take their fill of your strength and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. And at the end of your life you groan, when your flesh and body are consumed. And you say, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation, it says at the end of verse 14. Verse 15 says this, drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breast fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman, and embrace a bosom of an adulteress? For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. The iniquity of the wicked will ensnare them, and they are held fast in the cords of their sin. They die for lack of discipline, and because of their great folly, they are led astray. And that's the end of Proverbs chapter 5. Simple warnings. We can recognize those. And then in Mark, this Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, he jumps right into it with Jesus, John the Baptist and Jesus. And now we're at verse 29 of chapter 1. And immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law lay ill with a fever, and immediately they told him about her. And he came, and he took her by the hand, and he lifted her up, and the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening at sunset they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons, and the whole city was gathered together at the door, and he healed many who were sick with various diseases, and cast out many demons. And he would not permit the demons to speak, because they knew him. Verse 35 says this, and rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him, and they found him and said to him, everyone is looking for you. And he said to them, let's go on to the next town, that I may preach there also, for that is what I came for. And he went throughout Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and casting out demons. Verse 40 says this, and a leper came to him, imploring him and kneeling, and said to him, if you will, you can make me clean. And moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and touched him, and said to him, I will, be clean. And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was made clean. And Jesus sternly charged him and sent him away at once, and said to him, "See to it that you say nothing, but go and show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded for proof to them." And he went out and began to talk freely about it. But he went out and began to talk freely about it and to spread the news, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter a town, but was out in desolate places, and people were coming to him from every quarter. And that's the end of chapter 1 of the Gospel according to Mark. That's the end of another week of Daily Bible Bites. I hope that you're blessed and that you're beginning to see connections between the Old and the New Testament. And we're actually going to read coming up not too soon what Mark was talking about with the man who had to go and show himself to the priest as a proof for healing of leprosy. That's actually covered in the Old Testament. We're going to read that soon. I hope that you're gaining this big picture of what's going on in the Bible. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll talk to you. We'll see you on Monday, and I won't talk to you unless you send comments and I respond back. So God bless you. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye. No, really, bye. Bye.